Hello, welcome to another episode of Consume Chats. This month we're talking business partnerships, and today I'm joined by Meriesha Rennalls.
Hi.
So Meriesha and I will be talking about the benefits of a business partnership, finding the right partners to support your business, and also a little bit about our partnership. So I think we should begin by how we know each other, how our partnership began. It was, I believe, the summer of 2014.
Sounds very dramatic already.
Meriesha and I used to work together at a telecoms business. Can we say the name of the business? No, we can't say the name of the business. Where I was the marketing person and Meriesha was the operationals person. At first Meriesha didn't like me, but after some months I broke down those barriers and we became a good partnership. So in your current business, guys, what do you do? Meriesha, tell us a little bit about your professional life.
So I'm still in telecoms, but I now have my own business, doing the same kind of thing basically. So the operations manager role I had at that company, I guess that kind of set me up for the contacts and the business and all those kind of things. Not the actual business, but the how to go and do it for myself. So that's what I do. And as a separate entity, when I did start off on my own, I realised that actually all the people I know do what I do, so that led me into going out and networking, and the side hustle, which is due to be launched very soon, is Mama Bear and Marmalade. So there we are.
And you also do a lot of networking, which I found surprising because Meriesha was never one for networking when I worked with her. So we have been paddling along in our own separate businesses for 3 years, and somewhere along the way, again, I broke Meriesha down and made her become business friends with me, because we both kind of launched our businesses around the same time. Mm-hmm. So a little way along we realised we're stronger together than apart. So so last week when we were talking to Matt about business partnerships can also be informal as well as formal. So ours started off as more of a support network, which I always talk about being very important in business. Meriesha, what were your reasons for finally giving in and agreeing to...
I didn't have any choice. It was, I think it's very much, like you say, it's the support thing. I think, being in business, even if you've got, a staff and team within the business, actually it's always good to have some external support, somebody that's not involved and maybe not as close to the business, that can kind of, call you out on all the stuff that is obvious, that can point out the things that maybe you should be doing that you're not, that you've kind of forgotten about. There's all sorts of other good things that come with that. But I think that was kind of why really, and we do kind of have quite similar views on stuff, although we've got very different skill sets. That's kind of it.
Yeah. So to the question in hand, so that's how we know each other. We have had a long-standing professional relationship, and then we banded together so far as the business route to try and offer each other support in the areas that we don't. So Meriesha's very good at operations and I am good at marketing, supposedly. So what do you see as the benefits of general, not just ours, but generally finding, partnering with another business, be it formally or informally?
So I think like our relationship is that we have got those different skill sets. So whereas I actually said this to someone yesterday, you're very much just get shit done, get it out, and then deal with it after.
Slapdash is what we say.
Let's just refer to vacillating. But anyway,
come back to that. It's an in-joke.
It's an in-joke, with a spell and a couple of banner. Anyway, so get shit done basically. Whereas I'm a lot more, I guess, of a perfectionist, quite frankly, which is not always a good thing. And so, you know, we kind of help each other to just get stuff done, you know, and to a good standard and things like that. So there's that kind of relationship and partnership. And then if I look at, you know, my supplier relationships, for example, they are so important, you know, that because they help me to do what I do. It's as simple as that. You know, I know what I know, and I can, you know, do all, you know, the day-to-day kind of stuff. But actually having, you know, really good support and suppliers behind that is quite fundamental. And how, to me, you know, how you manage those suppliers, how you deal with them, they're not just a supplier. You know, ideally they become, you know, part of your business almost as well. You know, so you support each other. And I think if you know, have a great relationship with your suppliers, then actually, you know, you also get a lot more from them, a lot more support. You know, they're a lot more willing to kind of, you know, help out if you do something or need something too. So there's that as well. So they're a bit more formal, I guess, you know, because it's, you know, buying stuff from one another.
But generally speaking, I think our approach to business partnerships and relationships is generally informal. It's what I've always said before, is it's a lot easier if you can get on with someone.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think benefits in terms of having like any kind of business partnerships, like say, it's good because you find other people that have a set of skills. That's what you're really good at. You're really good at seeing people that have a set of skills that you don't. And then my benefit is that you're good at finding them and then help giving them to me, so I don't just try and do everything myself.
You know what it sounds like? What's that? Is that a particular set of skills?
You're a doer. If we were in like an Italian type mob film, you'd be a doer.
Oh.
Yeah. And I think, you know, the benefit of our relationship is, you know, having that support system for someone that's not your partner, as well as in your romantic partner, your family. You need someone else that's also going through the same sort of stuff around about the same sort of time that you can vent and offload to. And sometimes what I think has always been a benefit of you is you're able to come in as an external that has an insight to me and the business, but being external to come in and say, well, you could do this or this or this. And I think the benefit of me and your business, when I impose myself in there, is that I just get stuff done.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas I overthink everything. So.
Yeah, and you don't always recognise your strengths as well. And I start telling you, like, you haven't talked about this and you haven't talked about this.
It's true.
So that leads us on to our point around what tips would you give to somebody looking for their professional tribe? I do dislike the word tribe, but I do think it does sum it up really, because you're looking for a network of people that aren't necessarily going to bring you business or commercial benefit in terms of money, but will bring you benefit in terms of growth because they're a support. So that's what I mean by tribe. What do you think then? What's the benefit? What the top tips of finding your
top
tribe?
tips?
Hot tips.
Hot
top tips.
Well, yeah, that's a big old question, really, isn't it? You know, because I can only speak from my experience and how it's worked for me, and that's through, you know, business networking, because I think there's a lot of kind of ideas around what business networking is, how it is, you know, that it can be quite formal, that it's full of men in suits, and it's kind of an aggressive space, and it's, you know, sell. But actually there's a lot out there that's not like that, you know, and it's actually through going to meetings and doing those types of things that I've connected with people. So what I'd say is, you know, for people to take on board what other people's views are about networking, but actually go and try it out for yourself. You know, and so until you've experienced it yourself, you know, you can't really form an opinion on it, quite frankly. You know, so there's lots of networking and all of that kind of stuff out there. You can see more about networking tips in our podcast, so-called Sounds from the Underground, where we talk about business relationships. Yes, and the tiny cup, tiny saucer, sorry, tiny plate, whatever it is. Yeah, and I think, you know, with that, actually, with the tiny plate, is pushing yourself out of a comfort zone, which is not always pleasant to do. That's the whole point, I guess. And sometimes,
networking.
that's what networking requires. I don't like standing up and talking in front of people and, doing a 60 seconds and all of that kind of stuff that comes with all of this, but got to do it. So, get out there, do it and practice.
Maybe that's why we are like a yin and yang, because I do enjoy.
I do love talking. I'll fucking get you out. You're just like, Hannah's face is there.
I'm a people person. And I think that my tips when you're looking for, a professional partnership and more people to kind of bolster your group that are going to support you, you have to have a mix of both people that are in your area. So I have a lot of creative people. I work at Duke, so I've got loads of creative people, but you also need people who are the polar opposite of that. So even though Meriesha is a very creative person, full of life, you are definitely more technical and tech and practical in terms of operations. And there are other people in my tribe, say, that are completely different to me, but I think so you need to find people that have got similarities that you sync with, but also it's good to have people that are completely outside of your comfort zone and also from a different area.
Yeah, for sure. I think if you to have people that are in your sector and sphere, that's a great thing, because they support you, because they understand the industry, they know what's going on. Actually, that can give you great insight as well to what's going on, because actually when you're when you're in business, when you're doing business, you sometimes get a little bit removed from what's actually going on in the industry because you're doing. So it's always good to stay in touch with that. It also means you don't have to explain stuff. If you just want to go off on a rant, then someone's going to know what you're talking about. Exactly, yeah. So especially when it comes to telecoms, there's a lot to rant about.
Packets mainly.
Mainly loss of packets and internets.
I think also the other thing about our partnership is now Meriesha is fully ingrained in Consume, because we kind of reached a point where we decided we were focused on one of our businesses, to kind of get that up and running and rebrand and do all the things we need to do, and then focus on the other person's business. So Meriesha is now our non-exec, but I thought for me it was important to give you a proper title and role, because you have an importance in the business, more so than just you come in. We have a set thing. Meriesha comes in once a week. We spend that time looking at either one of our businesses or side projects. So I thought it was important to give you that kind of role, and it's also recognisable for other people outside the business to see it's not just a mate that's coming in, though we do also have social time, but it's that formality. But I think it's quite a big deal to let someone else into your business. So how do you work out who to trust?
That's such a massive question, isn't it? Because
you never know.
There's so much shit around, quite frankly, and it's such a big thing, especially in fact I don't think it matters the size of the business. I was going to say if you're a small business, it's more obvious, I guess, when you're bringing people in, but actually I don't think it really matters, because whoever comes into the business will have an impact, good or bad. So to let someone in is a big thing. I think then when I was employed, someone took a chance on me, essentially. That's what it comes down to, what it came down to. Came down to personality, came down to being able to work together. Doesn't mean that we always agree on everything, but actually, we can crack on and get stuff done. And I think that comes from taking ownership of certain areas too, and I think it's that, but that doesn't come overnight, and I guess that's what is not really right. If you're looking at interview process, and someone can interview very well, as everybody knows, it's just an hour or a couple of hours of your time, whereas actually, you don't really know, someone and understand someone from that short time. So it takes time. So I don't have,
I think it's someone that you feel is being honest with you, isn't it? Like when you think the problem is with that I would like to pass on to anyone that's kind of coming up is being genuine and honest doesn't mean you're unprofessional. I would definitely rather work with people that I feel are being honest, even if it's the harsh word, or if they're just being a bit more fun and frivolous in our conversation than someone that's really professional and salesy and too well put together, because that's also a little bit intimidating. So I think I pick my business relationship based on who I think is being the most honest with me about themselves. I am very honest, probably too honest.
Too much.
Too honest. But that suits, you know, the kind of people we work with, because they know they'll always get a black and white answer, and we'll never. They know, then you kind of build that relationship where they know I'm not trying to push an upsell or anything like that on them. It's an honest opinion of, yeah, you need this, or no, you don't need that. So I think that's my top tip for building your tribe and finding business partners, is look for the ones that it's that gut instinct. Look for the ones that you feel are being most honest with you. You don't always have to have all the answers.
I was just going to say that actually, you know, it's a very powerful thing to say, I don't know, and there's not many people that will say that all the time. You know, they'll basically, you know, come up with some BS to get themselves out of something in some way, shape or form, when actually all it would take is, you know what, I don't know, but I'll find out and I'll come back to you. And that's a really important thing. You know, I think you can judge how a relationship is going to be off of something like that. You know, so yeah, same for suppliers, you know, customers, clients, whatever you want to call them. They all work in the same way, really.
They are all people as well.
People.
Yeah, I think another good way to do it as well is when you've got someone coming into your business, be it an employee or anybody that's going to be part of the business, it's always a good thing to ask them to describe what the business is. So describe the brand values in their mind, or what do they think the business stands for. And because you know me well enough, you interpreted it quite well, which is now formed our brand new pitch deck. So I'll recap straight to what are the benefits of partnering with someone else. Well, I think the obvious one is sharing the burden, having someone to bounce off, especially if you're a small business. You're not taking your baggage home as much. You've got someone that's got the same kind of business positioning, they understand what you're going through. Would you agree, Meriesha? Do you have any further tips you'd like to share?
I think that sums it up really. It's a case of being able to talk, you know, and if you've got someone that's outside the business looking in, you know, it can just help, because it gives you the freedom to have, you know, an out and out conversation. You know, if you can't have those same conversations with staff, with friends, with family. They've all got, you know, the best other interests, you know, and their best interest, your best interest. There's all sorts of other stuff going on there. You know, so it's great to be able to bring someone else in that can have a pretty objective view on things.
And you know, one thing I thought that I asked last week when I was speaking to Matt was, how do you find your business partnerships?
Well,
I would think
by accident.
Yeah, I would say organically.
Yeah, a bit of both. It depends what it is and why. So, you know, a lot of how I find people actually is driven through what I need. It's as simple as that. And, you know, a bit of trial and error sometimes. You know, you might go to one supplier for something, get something once, maybe it doesn't quite work out, maybe you don't kind of get on, whatever, and you move on to the next. But that's the driver for me. And then, you know, the relationship off the back of that, because I think we both agree that it's not all about, you know, cheapest is better and all of that kind of stuff. I'd much rather have a good relationship and get you know, stuff done.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think also in terms of, you tend to find people, and then there's the case of how do you compensate them for their time. So for me, I don't always think it's a monetary thing, but I think whenever you take some skills from someone, or there should be an exchange, but that should be kind of set out up front. So thus we always knew the exchange was going to be marketing for operations, and we attributed a day to that. So I think that's the thing. So if you have informal business partnerships, you have to kind of have that discussion up front about what is it going to be, and find some way to kind of agree that, because otherwise you get to the other side and it's lopsided, or you don't feel like you've had what you kind of as much back.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a whole massive thing there about assumption. you know, and you know, if I might behave in a certain way and therefore expect that other person to reciprocate, and that's not always the case. So you do have to have those, you know, conversations as to, well, what is this and how we're going to move forward, and what we're actually going to do, whether you're friends or not. You know, you do need to have that in place to make sure you don't fall out, quite frankly.
And you need to have that honest conversation, because it's hard, because when you get invested in someone else's business or they're very active in yours, you can reach that point where you haven't had that discussion up front.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think, yes, ours, you know, it's gone all right so far.
We bond over food.
Yeah, that's our thing. We
know.
bring food.
Yeah.
That's the thing. We're both contributing food to it. I think we're very fortunate that we both came from a similar background and both decided to start food side business hustles. So, you know, we hope that you people out there will also be lucky enough to find business partnership like this. So, do you have any final thoughts about business partnerships, Meriesha?
Not really. My usual final thoughts are to do with temperature of the room, aren't they, really? That's about it.
Oh yeah, if you'd like to hear more from myself and Meriesha, you can catch us on our podcast, Sounds of the Underground, available on podcast and Spotify. Meriesha and I will also be popping up all over the place now. So Meriesha's here on Thursdays, so we normally have our meetings then.
Yep.
But that's about it from us. Next week we'll be talking to Martin from Emmasoft, who is our technology partner, about the same topic of business partnerships. Martin is a prolific networker.
Mr. Positive as well.
Very, very
All
positive.
over
We're
it.
telling us about No Gruha, which is his Polish concept for positivity and hard work. So we'll be with him next week. But as I said, if you'd like to hear more from us, you can either find us at Teacher News on Thursdays, or you can catch us on our podcasts. That's all.
Thanks for your time. Big thinker.